Festival. We have our event coming up, the Texas Short Film Festival Fall 2022, which will be in San Antonio at the Slab Cinema Art House at the Blue Star Arts Complex. A great place to screen a film, and you're going to see all kinds of things if you show up. You're going to see everything from comedy to drama to horror films to science fiction to animation to music videos to comedy series episodes. You'll see all kinds of stuff at Texas Short Film Festival. All the content is 30 minutes or less. And one of the films we're going to be showcasing is actually nominated for the Best Romantic Comedy Film Award, and it is called Bump, with an exclamation point at the end for a reason. And we're going to talk to the director and writer of this, I should say, film or series episode, however you want to look at it. Andrew Hollingworth, hello, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm very well, thank you, Michael. It's nice to meet you.
And where are you right now?
I'm in London, England. Most people could probably tell from my accent that I'm English, but
well, I bring that obvious question up because I want to show people that it is an international film festival. We have films from all over the world, and we judge everything on its merits. Our judges don't have our own films in the festival, our own screenplays involved in the festival. It's all work that comes in through our submission portals, and we appreciate you sending us this film because the judges really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, it looks like a fantastic festival, so I can't wait for it to all begin, really.
Thank you. So, I mean, you're in front of the camera, you're behind the camera, you're writing, you're wearing so many hats. I want to get into that, but let's set the stage first. What is this video about?
Okay, so Bump is it's a romantic comedy, and as the title suggests, Bump, it begins with a car bump. So the main character, Eliana, she crashes into the back of Ian's car, and that's sort of where the romance begins. I'll probably leave it there. I don't want to give too much away, but that's kind of what happens. And it's just, ask questions about fate and whether people are destined to be together or whether it's circumstance.
From a creative perspective, why did you want to tell this story?
So I actually wrote,
but fast.
Sorry, the video just cut for a second there. Just repeat that second part of the question, please.
No worries, no worries. I was going to ask you, from a creative perspective, why did you create this?
Yeah, well, I actually wrote it about in 2014, 2015. And at the time I was watching loads of YouTube documentaries about quantum mechanics and sort of theoretical physics. Just bear with me because it will make sense. You're kind of going, how does a rom-com and that relate? But I've sort of wanted to create something that kind of expressed my passion for that. And I've always written comedy, and I'm an actor as well, so I've always written things to put myself in. And I don't really know, other than the documentaries, I'm not a scientist, so I thought it'd be quite boring to just do something about science. So what I did instead was the two characters kind of represent entangled particles. And there's this really fascinating, beautiful thing in physics where two particles can collide and bump into each other and become entangled. And what that means is that they affect each other. Have you still got me? I've just got an image of the shots now.
I still have you, but I was trying to show the two particles. I was trying to show the two.
Oh, do you know what? I've just ruined it because I was probably voiceovering this beautiful montage of clips. We'll just carry on. But there's this amazing thing where these two particles can collide and become entangled, and it doesn't matter where they are in the universe; they're always connected. So to put it in really basic terms, if one particle goes up, the other one goes down. If one spins left, the other spins right. And so that kind of became a metaphor for these two characters who literally bump into each other and become connected in some sort of way. And that sort of comes out in the film. There's a lot of dialogue that sort of overlaps. They talk over each other. Sometimes they say things at the same time, and that's all to kind of represent that. But as I say, it is a comedy, and I do think the main purpose of entertainment is to entertain. So I didn't really want there to be necessarily a message in there. I didn't necessarily even care about educating people about science. It's more, I just want people to have a good time and laugh and enjoy the story.
All right. Well, you know what? I like that. Didn't know that it came from that scientific of a background. When you said the two particles, I thought that this picture would be awesome because when you said it, it just kind of matched. So I'm sorry to throw you off there, but
Yeah,
I
no,
am going
no,
to
that's
ask you.
great.
I'm going to ask you about the technical portion of the film and just kind of what you learned from the beginning to the end. Because from what I understand, you're pretty early in your filmmaking career. Have you ever made anything this long before?
This is my first film.
Your first
I
film?
grew up making sketches with a friend of mine. That's how I learned to film. I mean, I'm not a cinematographer at all, and I'm not very good at the technical side of things. But I did learn how to edit when I was young as well. So I kind of had a grasp of filmmaking. And then obviously as an actor, I've been in lots of films, so I've seen how they operate. I don't necessarily understand what every job does, but I kind of understand how a film set works. And
Mm.
actually, I won't say what it was, but I was on a really terrible film, and the director just didn't really care about the film, and people making it was, we made a feature film in like 4 days, and it was just really, it was just awful. And
Oh my goodness.
I just thought I could do better than this. And I come from a theatrical background, so
Mhm.
like the bump was originally a theatre piece, and it was an hour long, and we took it to like the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. We've taken it all over the UK. We've taken it to Florida, Prague, a few different places. Um,
Wow. Wow.
so yeah, so in terms of filmmaking,
Mhm.
what I wanted to do was to capture the thing with theatre is that it only lasts that night, right? The performance you see, and that's the beautiful thing about theatre, is it happens right in front of you. When it's done, it's done. Yes, you can do the play again the next night, but it's a different audience, something else, like something might go wrong. You got all those things. That's what makes theatre amazing. Film is obviously the same every time you watch it. It's exactly the same. um, and I guess the reason I wanted to turn it into a film, one of the reasons, was that I could just capture that story that I've written, and
Mm.
have it permanently there. And I thought it would translate well to film. Like in the I probably didn't mention this earlier, but in the film, the two characters, they're constantly talking into the camera lens. They're telling the
Yes.
audience what they're actually thinking in their head. So obviously, when you do that on stage, you're turning out to the entire audience, or you're picking out one person in the crowd, and then you go back into the scene. Whereas this, you're always looking into the lens. The difference is that the camera lens moves around, so it means you can have the characters like they're in a scene over here, and then suddenly they look over their shoulder, and so that made some really interesting things that we were able to adapt. But it's very difficult to adapt something that we've been doing on stage, and essentially the whole thing's like a dance. Like, it's very physical. There's a lot of movement that happens. There's a lot of precision in it. Um, and I think that probably it helped us in some aspects, but it also hindered us in others. And I think approaching the film again, maybe we would have some ideas of going, oh, actually, now we're doing this on film, we could actually do this instead of that. I can't think of an exact example, but film allows you to do a little bit more than what you can do on stage.
You know, and I'm sure that the crowd has something to do with it. I'm sure that there's probably a difference in your perform. Whereas film, you're kind of performing for no one, and
Yeah, I think one of the tricky things we found was how to pitch, because when you do it on stage, everything's larger than life, and it's a comedy as well, so everything's really big. And then we did consciously think about, when we turn this into film, like, do we need to talk at more, use our voices at a more conversational level, or do we still use our kind of stage voices? And in the
mm,
end, we sort of compromised with a little bit of both, because the piece sort of needs to be driven, and it is a heightened reality. When you see the film, it's bonkers, because you got these characters talking straight into the camera about what they're actually thinking, and they're just doing a lot of wacky stuff. So we felt that actually we can push our voices a little bit as actors, and almost make it a staged performance, if that makes sense.
it does for sure. And I and I'd like to show some of these pictures from the production as well. But what I got from this film watching it is the two of you seemed not only seasoned as actors, but you seem to have a lot of chemistry, like you've worked with each other before. It may come from that. I don't do you in the stage play, do you interchange with other people? Do sometimes does someone else play the role, or is it always you two?
No, there was one girl that I trained with, a girl called Rosie Ward, who helped me sort of workshop the play when it was in its infancy. So as I was
Mhm.
writing it, I'd bring it into a rehearsal room, and we'd try different things. And then when it came to doing the show and we were taking it to Edinburgh, she couldn't come, so I had to then find someone else. And Oriana Charles, who's the actor, as you can see in some of the pictures there, she came along to the casting, and she was the best person there for the job. And that was in 2014, 2015. And she's been in the stage version ever since. And in a way, she's had a lot of contribution. She's come up with ideas, or, she might tweak a line here or there. She goes, oh, it might sound a bit better if we do this and that. So she's very much a part of it. And I can't actually imagine doing the show, and definitely couldn't imagine doing the film without her. It had to be her. And I can't remember, we filmed it about 2 years ago now, just before the pandemic. And I can't remember what availability was like, but if it, it would have been the case of like, oh, I want to film it in February. And if she was like, I can't do February, but like, okay, we'll push it back to March, we would have sent, we were the centerpieces to it. Everything else we could move around, but it had to be us two.
Sure. Well, that says a lot to just, both of your commitment to the project, that you'd make that time. You've got a very good product. This looks really good. And I got to ask you, I want to ask about the future just in general about what you're working on, but I also want to ask you about the future. We can start with just the future of this series, the future of Bump, and where it goes from here.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I'm not too sure. This is my first time on the festival circuit ever. I haven't even been involved as an actor in other films that have gone to the festival. So I'm sort of just jumping in at the deep end, really. I had a kind of festival strategist. Someone helped me to kind of, look at what film festivals would be good to enter, hence why we're here.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think I sort of said that I wanted to network with other filmmakers. I wanted to kind of just explore what that world is and see if it's something that I want to do more of. And I'll let you know at the end of the year, after I've been to a few of these film festivals, if but so far I'm really enjoying it.
Good stuff.
So in terms of future then, so I've got other ideas for films. I've got a few sort of half-finished things I'm writing at the moment. The difficulty is having been like, having a theatrical background, I do think like my brain doesn't really work in film. Like, I don't picture things in film, I picture them on stage. And that probably shows in Bump. Quite a lot of it, you can see that it's adapted from a stage play. And I think I need to start afresh with something in my head that wasn't intended for stage, and just go straight in with like, right, I'm filming something, and try and picture it that way. Because I think trying to adapt stuff for stage, from stage into film it's very tricky. It's not just a case of like copy and pasting the dialogue, although there's an element of that. I think someone said to me once, like, film, although theatre is visual, a play script is just dialogue, and actually you just kind of leave it up to the director to do a lot of, unless there's like really specific things that need to happen on stage. But film is, I mean, you read a film script, there's probably just as many like stage directions as there are lines, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
You're definitely, you can only ride that line so much, and I think that what's good about this one, it may look like it's adapted, but it doesn't look out of place. It looks stylistic, to be honest. It looks like you've honed in on a certain style, and you don't necessarily have to change your style because of outside energies. I think this is working. But I guess my question was even more a little bit like, is there going to be a part 2 to this? Like, is there any more plans for?
Well, I mean, this is a half an hour film, right? And I mean, that's long for a short film as well, which probably hinders us a bit. But essentially, it's already been cut down from an hour. There's already been bits, and the story is kind of full. I don't know if I would do a part 2, because I feel like it sort of goes complete circle, and I think, as much as I love the style, and what I might end up doing is perhaps using the same kind of characters talking into the camera and speaking their thoughts out loud, that sort of thing. I might take that style and turn it into something else, but I feel like the story for Eliana and Ian needs to finish there. I'm kind of, I won't spoil what happens at the end, but it's left open kind of to the audience to decide if they think one thing's happened or the other.
Sure.
And I quite like that, and I quite like it not being answered.
Nice. Nice. Well, yeah, this has been good, very insightful. Digging in on this film and seeing how it was put together. Very good job, and you're doing great on the film festival circuit. Keep rocking. I know that in Texas and San Antonio, we're going to be excited to put this on screen and just see the reaction from the crowd. Is there any last words? Anything else you want to add before we get out
I
of
mean,
here?
I'm just so excited for this festival. Just thanks to you and everyone behind the scenes organising it, and the judges and everyone that's putting the time in to make this happen. Um, because from the outside, people you just look at a finished product and you go, "Oh, there you go, that's easy," but it's not. The cogs are always turning underneath. So, you know, it people need a recognition for that.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words, and you're making us look good, my man. So,
You
thank
make
you.
yourselves look good.
Keeping people engaged. I mean, at the end of the day, we're like DJs, like you want to keep the
Yeah,
crowd there and you want to keep the crowd entertained, and it's a fun time. Hopefully, when travel and availability gets a little bit easier, we'll see you at a future event
yeah, oh,
here in the
absolutely.
U.S.
Yeah, I plan to. I am actually coming over on Saturday. I'm coming to the States, going to LA to see some friends, and then Oriana Charles, the actress in the film, and myself are going to a festival in Arizona,
Oh
um,
wow,
at Sholo. So we're really looking forward to that. But in an ideal world, I mean, it's just so expensive for us to travel to America. And in an
sure.
ideal world, all these festivals would happen at the same, around the same time, so we can just go, right, let's do one trip and just do all of them. Um, but 100%, I think if I'm back with something next year, I'll definitely make space to come to America again and yeah, check out Texas.
All right, we appreciate that. Texas will be waiting on you.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend.
All
Have a
right.
good day.
Cheers, Michael. You too. Thank you.